Today, we're gonna be checking out a thick tablet. Meet the Minisforum V3, a gaming grade tablet that features a Ryzen 7 8840U processor, 32 gigabytes of memory, and some really cool I/O. Starting with this guy right over here. Let's get right into this. We've got, no way, is that a full-sized SD card slot? Okay, I'm kinda into that. We've got a volume rocker that can operate in two different modes. One to adjust volume and one to adjust, yes, that's right, my friends, get this, the brightness of the display when you are using this USB-C port that supports something that I'm seeing for the first time in person here called V-Link. V-Link allows this tablet computer, which, yes, is a full-fledged PC that I'm just gonna go ahead and click on, that is capable of running even AAA games like Cyberpunk. It allows you to turn it into a portable monitor. I'm such a huge advocate for this functionality because what it does is it allows you to use it as a tablet for most of its usable life cycle and then use it as a monitor later. In fact, that is a feature that Apple used to support on their old iMacs called target display mode. So you could just use it as a monitor once the insides were kind of useless. Let's take a quick look at the outsides here. So we've got some pogo pins for, oh right, it's not just a tablet, it's a 3-in-1. So we'll be taking a look at some accessories that'll attach to that. Coming around this side, we've got two more USB-Cs, these both USB 4. We've got a power button with integrated fingerprint sensing. Moving around to the top, yes, ventilation. If you're gonna put 8 Zen 4 CPU cores in this thing, not to mention a 12 CU GPU that boosts to up to 2.7 gigahertz, you're gonna need a couple intake fans and you're gonna need a couple of heat sinks. Man, I am liking this display. It does not support HDR, but what it does manage to do is hit the stated 500 nits of peak brightness with what we would describe as reasonable color accuracy, and it's got an extremely, I'm using the word aggressive here, but really what I'm going for is effective anti-glare coating that, in spite of the fact that this place is covered in studio lighting, still manages to yield a usable image. It doesn't have the thinnest bezels, and we did notice some odd behavior from the display where using it as a target display for another machine versus using it with the tablet itself resulted in both different performance in terms of brightness and in terms of color accuracy and grayscale tracking. Kinda odd, but none of the results were unacceptable, so I would take the additional functionality even if it does come with some caveats. And caveats there are. This is a 1440p display that can run at up to 165 hertz. I mean, look, when I said that this was a gaming tablet, I was not yanking your chain, but in display target mode, it can only achieve 60 hertz, and we noticed that instead of running in 8-bit mode natively, it was running 6-bit mode with dithering, which we didn't observe any banding issues, but could show up depending on what it is that you're trying to achieve. Wow, big picture mode looks flippin' awesome on this, and wait, this isn't 1440p, is it? It's not. It's 2560 by 1600, so that's a 16 by 10 aspect ratio, which is great for productivity, whether you're a video editor or a writer, or, I mean, really anything where you can benefit from a little bit of extra vertical space. You know what? I'm not always a huge fan of the feel of anti-glare coatings. This is not bad. It's still not quite what you'd expect from, a modern smartphone with Gorilla Glass 3 or Victus or something like that. But it's pretty satisfying. And realistically, I don't think there'd be any getting away from this, given that, yes, one of the big selling points of this tablet is that it is suitable for drawing. Right now, their pen is included as a free gift with your purchase of the V3 tablet, but it is rumored to cost in the neighborhood of around $100 at some point, and supports up to 4096 pressure sensitivities. So, can we play Forza Horizon 5 with a pen? We're about to find out. While we wait for this to launch, why don't we tell you about our sponsor? Thanks Ground News for sponsoring today's video. They want to change how you engage with news articles from around the world, and Ground News does this by breaking down biases, revealing who owns which media outlets, and showing factuality for each story. Recently, Microsoft delayed their AI recall feature due to security concerns.
Thanks to ground news, you can ask why right-leaning outlets might report on the delay through a more critical lens. Plus, their blind spot feature shows stories that have little or no reporting from one side of the political spectrum. Honesty and transparency should be important when you read the news, so why wait? Save 40% on Ground News's Vantage plan at the link down below.
Yes. The answer, expectedly, is no. But that's fine, because that gives us a good opportunity to talk about some of the accessories that are included that we kind of glossed over before. There's a power adapter, which you can't take for granted these days. Wow, that is really small. Is this a GAN powered? It is! 65 watts max and so tiny. I love this. And it comes with a USB-C to C cable. The pen comes with an extra tip and a puller and a convenient place to store it. Though, it should be noted that we found that while gaming, which is where I was getting to with this, it gets really hot because it overlaps ever so slightly with these exhaust vents. So we would recommend that if you're playing games or realistically doing anything intensive for a long period of time on this thing, that you maybe just put your pen in your bag and then bring it out when it's time to actually draw. For our part though, let's try out some more of the accessories. Ooh, the stand. Oh, I guess I better. This is really not that convenient. Do I really have to? Oh, wow, that's a really stiff hinge, dang. Goes over the camera, and that goes like that. That's technology, all right. Oh, let's see if the keyboard's a little better. Man, I mean, that's about as good as I could ask for something so low profile, but I can't say that it's the most awe-inspiring typing experience I've ever had. Wait a second. Where the Sam Hill do they pull in air from? Is there another air pull source? It appears that the intention, is that. It actually holds on there a little bit better too. All right, Minisforum. Touche. I gotta say, I'm surprised it took so long for someone to put one of these mobile AMD chips into a tablet. Like, obviously at this screen size, 800p is gonna look a little aliased, but this is very usable. And in a chassis this size, I don't know if this is just credit to the Minisforum team, which has a lot of experience building super small desktop PCs. It is surprisingly quiet. Like, look at this, I'm holding this right up to the mic. You can barely hear the flippin' thing. That's really impressive running a AAA game like Forza Horizon 5. Now, what you might not be as impressed by is the battery life. It's got a 50 watt-hour battery in it, which is an okay size, but resulted in an endurance battery life test of about 5 hours. Well short of our target of about 6 hours to be decent, and gaming battery life of just over an hour, regardless of the performance profile. Speaking of performance profiles, I'm probably in the balanced performance profile right now because the fans do get a bit more aggressive in the 28 watt maximum profile. Let's get their application open so we can have a look at that. Yeah, we're in power balance mode. Oh, I gotta plug it in for power premium mode. That is a very short included power cable. So this is not also a regular USB-C port? Well, that's good to know. Plug in over here. Boom. Hey, there we go. 28 watt TDP, 165 hertz refresh mode. There we go, that's a few more FPSs. And it's still not even that loud. I think the most impressive thing about these AMD mobile chips is just how long it's taking Intel to catch up to them. Like, they technically have a competitor in the form of their Core Ultra 100 series family, but I mean, we have a competing product from One X Player that has a larger 60 plus watt hour battery. It's got the competing Core Ultra chip running at a maximum 35 watt TDP instead of 28 watts, and it still doesn't manage to match the performance of this thing. And AMD hasn't even updated the GPU in these for an entire product refresh. One thing they have updated is their NPU, or their neural processing unit. So they're saying that your onboard Radeon graphics can now be used for things like gaze correction when you're on conference calls, automatic framing, and advanced background adjustments. Speaking of which, we should probably have a look at this camera. I was gonna say, that's not bad for having an anti-glare coating in front of it, but it doesn't.
That does impact my impressions of it a little bit. I mean, it's very usable, and I'll let you guys be the judge of the microphone quality.
Ooh, eye contact. Hello.
Can I have eye contact with you guys no matter where I'm looking on my screen? Is it correcting it? It really doesn't look like it.
Automatic framing though.
Is any of this doing anything? Oh, hey, there you go. Oh, buddy.
Okay, that's kind of cool. I haven't actually played around with this. Wait a second, we're not done with the camera yet. There's a rear camera, so you can be the supremely giganticest pad hole ever. Oh my God, the quality of this is terrible. I don't remember the last time I took a picture with something and it looked this bad. This is like iPhone 4 grade. I can't even tell what finger you're holding up. Yeah, okay, all right, we get the point. Back to the front camera for a second though. It supports Windows Hello, which is nice. And I gotta say, the overall weight of the device is not that bad. It's about 1 kilogram, which is heavy obviously, but thanks to the magnesium alloy chassis, it's not nearly as heavy as it otherwise could have been. Not bad actually. Not very loud, but they've done a good job of managing distortion, even if you're not gonna be getting the most soul thundering bass out of this thing. You know what, I don't even need to launch this to tell you guys. The labs tested the gaming performance of this device and we were pretty impressed. It does about as well as you would expect one of AMD's latest APUs to do, and leaves Intel struggling to look for a reason to exist in this gaming tablet, gaming handheld space. What they couldn't test was how well it works for art. Now, see, I happen to be something of an artist. I'm just kidding. Realistically, whatever they did to have a look at the pen performance is more useful than what I'm about to do, but hey, I can at least say if it's super laggy. Hey, look at that. Okay. Can I just say mad respect to anyone who does a daily or even a weekly strip, because anytime I sit down and try to think of something funny, I draw a blank. Come on, that's a little bit funny. I mean, realistically, all I really care about is what kind of fineness of control do I have with this thing. It is possible to make contact with the screen and not leave a mark, which is sort of a bummer. However, even the slightest bit of pressure does leave a very, very thin line. Oh, something that I'd like to try though is using it in target display mode. We're gonna be using a Nintendo Switch. Let's go ahead and get this plugged in here. External DP signal detected. Shut down and switch to tablet mode. Yes? Do you confirm all your work has been saved? That makes sense. I've got to turn off the computer. Oh, now's a good time to mention that we did find that it managed full coverage of the DCI-P3 color space as advertised. However, you're gonna want to turn on Windows's auto color management in order to make sure that regular SDR content doesn't end up oversaturated. Now, all that's left to do is turn on our switch. Oh wow, this is interesting. It is stretched. Is there an OSD that allows us to change the aspect ratio? Okay, that doesn't adjust volume anymore. Okay, as we discussed, that does brightness. Well, is there any other OSD? Oh, that is, nope, that just turned it off. That is a bummer. I pressed the power button and it turned the computer back on, which was not actually my desired outcome when I had the switch plugged into it. So it's an unusual device. The one thing that I haven't been told in advance of this unboxing is the price. I'm gonna guess. It's pretty cool. It comes with a lot of accessories. I'm gonna say this thing is probably gonna cost you a cool $1,000.
$1,500 US.
$1,500 US. Okay, apparently it's on promo for $1,200 right now. They know about the iPad, right? No, they haven't heard of the iPad. I mean, this is a different device. And if you're the kind of person who wants to run Windows software, you want a tablet, you want something AMD powered, you're not gonna have a whole ton of options. And I understand that when you're producing devices at lower volumes, there's going to be some inherent overhead, but I think it's going to be a very particular customer who goes with this over one of the other mobile computing solutions that are out there, even if, honestly, it does seem pretty darn cool to me. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe to ShortCircuit.